The hardest part of me fighting is the time I spend away from my family. Every camp is about 8 to 9 weeks long. The family has really accepted it, and they understand that this is what Daddy has to do right now to provide for him. I got one shot at fighting right now. I need to make a run at this title. I know I can do it, and this is my choice.
When I started World Extreme Cage Fighting, our goal was to always find those guys out there that hadn't really become famous yet and build them into stars. We met Brian Stann in 2006. He had one fight under his belt, but I'll tell you what, the guy was so impressive, we signed him, and I've always been impressed with Brian's fighting. You know, there were very few fights, if any, where he took a fight where the guy he was fighting had less fights than him. The thing about Brian, though, is I never saw him get nervous. I mean, he'd get in the cage and he's like, okay, let's do this, you know? And eventually became my light heavyweight champ at 205.
Brian is very well trained. He trains with the best training team in the world. Jackson Mixed Martial Arts, and the guys that are there and those who Brian trains with do all the things that are necessary to prep him physically and tactically for the fight. Brian is such a good student, and he's a quick learner. He really understands how he needs to manage himself going into a fight like this. So really, for me, someone who cares about him, I mean, it's exciting, but at the same time, you know, we go in with a great deal of confidence.
When you look at what our men do in the octagon, yes, they do it in competition, and guys like Brian do it in real life, but yet it's the same type of discipline, it's the same type of survival techniques, survival mode, the same type of heart, determination, and grit that makes you successful in life. So I think it's very unique to see a decorated Marine take those skills in which he kept us safe every day, and in which he represented our country performing, and now be able to do something that he still loves, which is compete, which is fight, but yet go home to the family and enjoy that as well. So it's really the synergy, and this man has both.
I joke around and say I was his first training partner because he'd throw me around, jumping off the couch because we used to watch wrestling on TV, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna drop an elbow from the couch. And you know, once he got a little bit heavier, it wasn't happening anymore.
He liked martial arts when he was a kid. In 7th and 8th grade and even 6th grade, he was going down to jiu-jitsu and kung fu, and he really enjoyed it. He would walk down there after school for his classes, and he actually stopped it when he went into football because he couldn't do both. He's always had an interest in it. And then when he got into the Marine Corps, that's when he really excelled.
Having a son-in-law like Brian Stann, not only as a UFC fighter, Brian Stann, the person himself. Brian is a remarkable, remarkable young man.
Well, being married to a professional fighter is definitely interesting. It's a great experience. Something new's coming up. We're in a different location, traveling here and there. So it's definitely interesting, and we're just creating a lot of memories.
Tressa is the warrior like Brian is. I'll have to say that about my daughter. She's a tough individual, as the whole family could say too. Tressa's always been strong. She's been supportive, and she's always been so positive about the whole situation that I knew back then, with Brian the way he is and Tressa's support, I knew that to this day, this would be the outcome here.
Oh, I'm so proud of him. He's just a wonderful, wonderful man. And he has just really, really accomplished everything he wanted to do and more, and he continues to go on and accomplish more and more. So the sky's the limit for him, and I'm very proud of him.
So when I do come to Albuquerque to visit him, and I just feel like I'm home and around them, very comfortable.
Try and go no longer than 10 to 12 days without seeing my family for a little while. That's the toughest part about fighting right now. You know, it's tough for my wife to be sitting there playing zone defense with 2 kids all day. And, you know, while maintaining the household, spending time away from my family is just something that really I'm not fond of.
Yeah, balancing the family time and his travels has definitely been challenging, and we've worked through it and gotten used to it. You know, and I have my routine, and I try to make it work best, and I've kind of, I guess, gotten used to him being away for sometimes a lot of, you know, sacrifice, and, you know, on his end, being away from the kids, and it's tough because they're getting older and they miss him and they know he's gone. We make it work, you know, but it's tough. We have to weigh it out and see if it's worth it. And, you know, from what we've seen so far, what he's doing, it is worth it right now.
And the best advice I could give to a young person who's thinking about, hey, I want to be a professional fighter, you know, first and foremost, they need to understand that there is a prerequisite level of athleticism that's required to be successful in this sport. And I'm not trying to crush anybody's dreams, but it's just true. This sport takes a ton of time, and you have to devote yourself to it. However, the pay, especially when you're just working to get to the UFC, is minimal. I got paid $500 for my first fight, but I had to pay my own plane ticket, so I basically made 150 bucks. You know, if you have people that are depending on you, wife and children, and you're just starting your MMA career, probably not the best route to go because you are required to have financial stability. It's best if you're in a position in your life where you can live out of a duffel bag, move into a gym, or live on a buddy's couch and train for a couple years straight to see if you have it. Don't start doing this when you already have financial commitments that you need to maintain.
Brian, as a family man, I think it's his favorite job. He's so proud of Tressa and the girls and everything that they do. He takes as much time as he can to be with his family. Just this week, right before the fight, he flew home to see Alex's first dance recital. He made a point of being there for those important moments. And those little things, getting Alex flowers and hugging her and playing with Deanna and going to the playground, that's his favorite thing to do.
He's a role model to everybody, not just other fighters. I mean, Brian Stann is the guy you want your daughter to marry. You know, it's like somebody once said, Brian Stann is the guy you want your daughter to marry, but you don't want your son to fight. And I think that's pretty accurate.